What is up, guys? We're going to look at my top 10 highest risk, highest reward champions in League. I really wanted to do this video because this is the kind of player I am, really. I love to hard carry a game by myself, and these are the champions that really fit into that playstyle. So high risk, high reward to me means the champion isn't really that consistent. They have the potential to completely take over a game, but also kind of the potential just to do nothing. When I was researching this video, I really found that champion experience makes a big difference. Like, the more you play the champion and the better you get, the less risky they are going to be. Kind of effectively, you know how to play around their risks more. I also asked a bunch of people to get opinions, including a friend, Huz, whose YouTube is down below if you want to check that out. Anyway, with all that said, let's jump into number 10 with Katarina. She definitely fits the idea of taking time to learn her. Like, over 15 games with her, her win rate drastically increases. She is risky because she's an assassin. You have one job, right? And it's just to kill people. It's really good at doing that one job, but if you're behind, it's really hard to do that. She isn't as risky as some of the others though. Like, that's why she's at number 10. You only need a few items really, and we all know it takes just one fight to come back with a really good set of resets. You do have to jump into the entire enemy team though. That's kind of a downside. Like, it's really good when your team reduces their health bars first and you can clean up, but if your team is behind, they're probably not going to be able to do that, and there's not much you can really do. Overall, you definitely have the potential to hard carry a game and have so much damage. She's just unstoppable, but you also could just basically do nothing. It's hard to jump into a team of fed people, or if they get a Zonya or Guardian Angel, you can't reset anymore. So this next one is a little bit different actually, but Riven I think is pretty high risk with the potential to carry so hard. The funny thing is really, actually first off, she does build full damage, okay, and if you're behind you aren't amazing, but she's not that bad. She can still flash in and turn a fight around. The thing is, I think she's risky because you have a massive target on your back. It's not so much in season 6 because she isn't as good now, but we've had like 6 seasons of League at this point. People know Riven is so good when she's ahead. It means you're likely going to get camped. I'm sure a few Riven mains in the comments are going to confirm that as well, but I will personally always try and set a Riven behind, because I feel like if I don't, then she'll snowball and get out of control. When behind, it's really hard for her to jump in and do much, so that's where her kind of risk actually lies. Honestly, you can 100% take over a game and destroy. There's a reason there are so many Riven mains, not as much in season 6 because of meta and stuff, but trust me, that champion is still insane. The better you are with her, the more combos you can do, the better you are at animation cancelling, and the more effective she becomes. So at number 8 we have LeBlanc. Bit different, no real target on her back this time, it's just her overall kit that makes her risky. You're a low health burst assassin mage. When ahead you can one-shot someone, but when you're behind or late game, she really can't do that as easily. The high risk is because if you don't snowball, you're going to have a hard game. Win rate is insane pre 25 minutes, but after that it drops a fair bit. Experience also makes a big difference. It's hard to be effective late game, but it is possible, and it's easier for like a LeBlanc main to do that. The risk is almost always worth it though. I think you have an amazing lane phase, you roam around, you kill people in one rotation. There is very little people can do to stop you. You're going to juke forever, and the outplay potential is off the charts. Really, you can carry a game completely by yourself as LeBlanc, but sometimes you're just going to flop and you're going to do nothing. So next up is kind of like a mix between Riven and LeBlanc with Yasuo. That was kind of a bad comparison actually, that seemed better in my head, but he's like a melee assassin really, I guess. I mean, it's kind of hard to class him, right? But his job is to kill people, you can juke like crazy, and whatever, I'm gonna say it's a mix of both anyway. So you have that high risk because he needs items to do anything, and if you fall behind, you'll basically do nothing. You're obviously melee as well, more easily punished, you have to get closer, your lane phase is pretty weak, and you need good conditions to fight, an activator for your ultimate or time to charge it up. Now with all of that said, Yasuo actually can come back pretty easily. If you farm well and you get some items, then you can outplay and you can basically kill everything. Win rate again is almost a straight line up, so the more you play him, the more you should win. I'm sure we've all seen the 0-10 Yasuo or the 10-0 ones. There is that kind of element of they normally do really well or really badly. Some games they carry hard and some just be dead weight. For some reason as well, in my games, I mean, they're pretty much all dead weight, and I have no idea why that is, but that is another story. The last one before we hit our top 5 is going to be Diana. Most mages are ranged, right? They're low health, they stay at the back kind of thing. Well, Diana doesn't really get that option. She has to go in. She only has that one mode. You dive in and you kill people, people, and it revolves around a one-shot burst, and if you can't do that, then you're screwed. The problem also is if your team is behind, then you have very little follow-up, plus diving into a fed enemy team is really not going to end well. You don't really have poke, so it is just a risky playstyle. You get behind and you can't do much. The potential is definitely there to completely take over a game though and dump on everyone. You one-shot people and you're tanky enough to survive as well. There's no real need to build full offense, so you get like a Bissell and a Zhonya's. There is one thing that doesn't really fit as much with the others, and that is the more you play her, the more you win idea. It kind of makes sense because it's not really very hard to do the combo. You can either one-shot someone or you can't. There's no in between. The win rate does decrease over time as well though, like normal, so you actually need to end early before people build up their defense and your base damage falls off. So let's get into our top 5 now with Vayne to kick it off. I said at the start, right, I love this playstyle and that's why I mained Vayne for a long time. The potential is there to just go off and carry an entire game. You outplay, you stealth around and damage to kill anything. The problem is, a lot like Riven actually, you have this massive target on your back. Everybody is going to focus you. They're going to camp your lane and they're going to dive you in team fights. Now unlike Riven though, and why she's like higher up in this list is because her lane phase kind of sucks really. You can get punished really hard and get set behind quite a bit. It's opposite to a lot of these earlier game picks as well. Vayne's win rate is awful before 30 minutes. You actually need to last quite a while before you start doing any work. I actually think it's quite risky to rely on your team to survive while you power up in the game. They could all just get stomped and there's nothing you can do, but the good side is you can actually win lane and there's not as much pressure to do anything as you're going to carry later. Some games you are just going to get rolled over and lose really hard. Others you'll do average and you'll carry later, and some you'll just get ahead in lane and completely stomp. If you think about it, this is also kind of what attracts people to play her in the first place. You know how even if people don't main AD and they're not a good AD player, they play Vayne and just feed? Well, it probably starts with these sick montages that show off her potential. Now, number 4 is the clown that nobody is ever happy to see, Shaco, whatever you want to call him. I honestly don't think you get much more early game than this guy. It is an exaggeration that he's only good early, but it's kind of true. You have to gank and do stuff early into the game. He is really good at that early phase though, and then super good late game again. The middle bit is kind of rubbish unless you're ahead. Your farming clear speed and stuff is kind of average really. That's the definition of a risky pick really that you want to snowball with. The potential is there to just gank over and over. You don't see him much at the moment, but he is one of the best gankers in the entire game really. One thing that's definitely underrated is how much damage he can output with a full set of items. Seriously, he can like one-shot the AD carry with a backstab and a few crits. This guy can carry so hard, harder than most. He has a pretty bad team fight. That's kind of why you want to end early into the game, and he is like an assassin but in the jungle. Now that's not the best idea ever because junglers are low income, so he needs to get kills to get gold and get items or he's useless. As with all of these top 10 videos, I want you to try and guess the top 3 and see if you get them right. I'm going to have a look through, but no cheating. So, number 3, the bronze medal is Rengar. Kind of a similar deal to Shaco actually. I think he has even more problems which make him riskier, but he can also carry harder. If you have a really good early game, you have more damage from items, you have more kills, and it's a very easy game. The risk is that you're flying into the enemy team to do damage, right? And if you aren't fed, then you're going to struggle to kill them, and you have no real utility either. You also kind of hit a point mid-game where the enemy team groups up and you don't have enough damage yet to fly in and kill one of them, which makes you basically useless. You can't engage, you can't assassinate when they stay together. It's really strange because normally champions that need items have good early games. Think of like a Shaco, right? Rengar doesn't. He's pretty crap until level 6 and has a poor win rate until around 30 minutes into the game. As with all of these, the potential is there to really take over a game. You have your ultimate with like 40% cooldown reduction and you just kill everyone all over the map. Nowhere is safe, nobody is safe, and it's solo queue. People are always alone for you to kill. This is one of the perfect examples for this video. Some games you're going to get ahead, right? You have so much damage and you just kill everyone. Other games you're going to get behind and do nothing, and the last kind of portion of games you'll get to late game and either one-shot people or they'll group up and they one-shot you as you fly in. It's very risky, but the potential is there to solo carry even the worst teams. So our silver medal is going over to the resident carry jungler in Season 6, Nidalee. This one you might not have expected, but that's mostly because of how dominant she is right now. In fact, actually, Nidalee's win rate drops in a straight line down the longer the game goes. If she doesn't do stuff early, then she's basically useless. Think about it, right? She has average poke. It hurts when you're ahead for sure, but it doesn't touch tanks though in the front line. You have an average heal and then traps as well. That's a pretty crap kit outside of Cougar form, really. The problem in Season 6 and why it doesn't seem like it is because she's so good at getting ahead, you don't feel it as much. But if you don't manage to get ahead or you get behind, you really won't do much. A lot of your damage revolves around Cougar form, and you can't really jump into an entire team to execute them or burst someone, and you're not left with much after that. She definitely has one of the highest carry potentials out of anyone on this list because of how effective she is early, but also one of the highest risks as well, which sits her nicely at number 2. So the number 1 spot, the highest risk and reward champion in my opinion is Pantheon. Very similar to Nidalee, right? Win rate decreases the longer the game goes on. We'll cover the risk parts first because there's a lot of them. If you get behind, it's basically lights out, honestly. Your ultimate is an amazing roaming tool. It's good early in the lane phase, but basically it's useless otherwise. You have no utility. I mean, you have a stun, okay, I guess, but the rest is pure damage and the stun doesn't even last that long. You really do just need to get ahead, otherwise he can't really do anything. Your job is to kill people. If you're behind, you can't do that. The last one, and probably the biggest one, is that once you reach team fights, you really don't do that much unless you just have too much damage to deal with. That's a really big ticking clock to get a lead before. There obviously has to be rewards, otherwise he wouldn't be on this video, right, though? So he does have insane damage. He's very, very hard to deal with. Amazing roam to push that lead into the rest of the map as well, which can just like completely win a game. He does snowball really hard. He has a lot of damage early into the game, and that can just easily transition into a win. The difference between him and Nidalee really is that I think he's higher risk, but he's also easier to carry with too, which kind of gives him a bit more reward. You just click W on them, Q, E, and they die. No skill shots, no jumping around, no messing about, just straight brute force damage. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment and share, but for now, let's go to the robots.